welcome to my MALvlog number 9. I just had the inspiration the other day to record one of the tarot spreads that I do rather often, both for myself personally as well as for clients, but particularly clients in a, like we do an enchanted evening at the Silver Broom, $1 a minute. I usually do about 10-minute readings or so. So this is a good one. It's called the Element Spread. I actually learned it from a book and deck set that I got called the Elemental Tarot or the Element Tarot. God, I was still a teenager, I think. I think I was still living in Boston. Yeah, so the book was great. The tarot deck was wonderful, and it worked the 5 suits as fire, earth, air, water, and spirit, which was very helpful, and that's where I got the spread from the book. And I've been using it, my God, I must have used that thousands of times over the decades. So I thought what I would do is just record the laying out of the spread itself. Now, I read 2 decks at once. I'm actually using 10 cards for a 5-card spread. But it's good to know the positions of it and the interrelationship of the different cards. So I'm going to just lay that out, and I'm not actually going to read myself or anybody else on that. I know just how far I can go. I know what my boundaries are. I'm not going to read myself and record it online. Unless I got those cards pre-shuffled, Margaret. So yeah, hang in there, and I'll lay this out for you and make comments as you like below. Okay, here we go. This is literally where I sit when I do readings from home. Whether, Facebook Messenger, telephone, whatever, Skype. I don't like Skype as much for this stuff. But yeah, I sit literally at my dining room table with the essentials, American Spirit Yellow, Wonder mug full of coffee. I make really good coffee. Honey and half, that's a lot of H's. So let's say I get a client. Sometimes phone calls come out of the blue, or text messages, whatever. Mark, what should I do? Or for my magically inclined people, I want to do this spell, I want to do this ritual, but I just need to check it out. This is the spread that I would use for them. It's, like I said, 5 positions, 10 cards each, because I'm reading 2 decks. I'm reading an Angel Oracle deck as well as the Daughters of the Moon Tarot. That's Aquarius on there. Yeah, so the court cards are zodiacal. They're the signs of the zodiac, very helpful. And also I teach this spread in the Tarot Workshop Level 2. Level 1 is the intellectual stuff. It's the going through of each card and the structure. There's a lot of lecture in it. It's the heaviest because it's the intellectual interpretation. Level 2 is my favorite to teach. That's the intuitive. And there's a lot of stuff in there that's just good to know anyway. It's like life skill stuff. About what intuition is and what it isn't. But one of the things we do in there is reversals. Cards are reversed, but when you read a round deck, one card, it's not just this, or that you get all different degrees. So we go into that. But that is, level 2 is also where I do the spreads, and I teach as many spreads as I know tons. That would take a whole 8 hours unto itself. But at least the ones that I use professionally and personally, which is quite a number of them, some of which I made up myself, and you can make your own spreads. This one I did not make up. So for this reading that I'm going to do, I am going to flip the cards over, and I'll, take close-up pictures of what they are. But I'm not shuffling them with any person or intention in mind. But if I was in a psychic fair situation, this is the one I would do, depending on what my time constraints were. I mean, I can crank out a 10-position Celtic cross spread in a private reading in a half an hour, but I'm like a machine gun. Give me an hour, I can go into a Celtic cross and then jump afterwards with other spreads into different situations or deeper into the same. So, first thing I always do, I have a clearing ritual. Now, I teach that you really do have to clear your cards on a semi-regular basis, if not in between every reading, if you are in a, like a tarot party situation, which I still do those every now and again, or, an enchanted evening where I try and read, 6 people is enough for me, but I've certainly read more than that in an enchanted evening at the Silver Broom. So what I do, this is my technique, is you just saw me do it. I butterfly, that's what I call it, butterfly the cards, but I butterfly them face up. Now, the reason for that is because when you always shuffle your cards in one direction, they can get warped. So since I'm only clearing them, and what I do, now I'll do it for realsies, when I blow through them, I have the mental command and the intention, clear, sort of like, defibrillator, clear, like that. I sort of do that. So I do that 3 times, right, just to kind of clear, and I'm thinking that constantly, or I think of a blank screen or something so that it's clearing the cards. And I do that with both decks, so you'll see I turn them face side up. Clear. I don't always say it out loud, it looks a little weird in public. Like that ever stopped me, but I still clear. Clear at least 3 times so that when I shuffle, I know the cards are clear. Now, if I was reading a client, they would be sitting essentially where you are, except a little lower, because they wouldn't be sitting on a tripod, although, whatever works for you. Coffee's so good. Thank you, Wonder Mug. So they would shuffle the cards, and when they shuffle the cards, I usually ask them, rather than focus on a question, to focus on a topic. The way I read myself and the way I teach my readers to read at least themselves, if not clients, because you can direct clients as much as you want. They're going to shuffle the way they shuffle. I use these words. I really, 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 really want to know about blank, and I fill in the blank. This keeps it general. This is only a 5-position spread. We're not going to get into the micro detail of it, although you never know. So it's like sticking a thermometer in a topic instead of sticking a thermometer in a question. By the way, when you do that, when you shuffle a question, you usually get the energy of the question, which doesn't always yield an answer. Like a thermometer, thermometers don't answer questions. It just gives you data. So this is why it can bring great clarity. Now, I will say when I used to do this spread in the bars, because I used to do this spread in the bars quite a lot, got paid lucratively for it in the 80s, I would say make a wish, because a wish is a desire. So I wish for $1 million. I wish to be happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I usually was the case as I really wish to score with this person tonight, whatever it would be. And then I always tell them, shuffle the cards until they click. Now, poker players always know what I mean by that. That means that it's like, oh, I could make myself shuffle more, but that feels right. That feels right. That's it. Click. And you're going to do that with both decks. So since I am Son's client, I'm going to do this. So let me just pick something really, really easy. I really, 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 really want to know the best spread for this vlog. I really, 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 really want to know the best spread. Want the best spread for this vlog. I really, 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 really want to know about the best spread for this vlog. Now I would be doing that silently, and I would suggest the client does too. I really, 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 really want to know. Do the best spread for this vlog. Good. Now I always, final cut, I always do left hand. 1, 2, ooh, kicker. 3. 1, 2, 3, moving from the left, so with the left hand to the left. That's a little traditional. I don't know where that began. We probably never will. But now the same thing with this deck, but the same intention. So I really, 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 really want to do the best spread for this vlog. I really, 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 really want to know and do the best spread for this vlog. It feels good. I really, 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 really want to know and do the best spread for this vlog. Same thing. Left hand, 3 cuts. Heal it, and put them in their stations. Okay. Mini break. Okay. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to lay down the cards face down first so that you get the position of the spread. Now, ordinarily, when I read myself, I would be doing this the opposite way, but I've learned how to do it like a mirror so that it faces the client. But the rotation, the tilt of the cards is always towards the reader, in my opinion. But we're doing no reverse cards. We're doing no reverse cards with this, okay? So we'll see that when we flip. So the first position is fire. The element of fire is what you desire, and that's why that I really, really want to know, or I wish, or something that is element of fire. So it gives you a good foundation of the reading and the spread that then every other element that comes will have its relationship to fire. So it's not a significator, Like in the Celtic Cross, there are a lot of spreads where the first card down is the person you're reading. If you're reading yourself, it's you. If you're reading a client, it's them. So element of fire, what you desire, what you burn for, what you want, okay? The next position down is earth. Now, earth is the fuel, like the wick of the flame, like the log in the fireplace. Fire needs fuel. So that's what you have. What's already going on in the situation, or yourself, or a skill, or a talent, or something that's going on at the time of the shuffle in your life in general, that helps. Now, sometimes that can be helps or hinders, but again, that can be how the card feels, which is more intuitive than the intellectual understanding of the position. So the card has to do with that somewhat. Now, really important, the element of air. Air is thought. Now, what is the relationship of air to fire? Well, it's a balance, right? Because if there's no air in fire, fire goes out. Fire needs air to exist. But also, too much air can blow out the flame. But like if you have a coal, a COAL, like a wood coal, an ember, and you burn on it, it can get hotter and hotter and hotter. So that gives you an indication of what you're thinking in relationship to fire, what it is that you want. You with me? You with me so far? Okay. Now, another tricky one, water. How you feel. I just saw what that card is. This should be interesting. Your emotions. What are the emotional part of it? Now, what's the relationship of fire and water? Well, you say one cancels out the other, but if your earth is in the right place, think of that as like metal, then you could like boil water, right? You put the fire, the metal, the element of earth, and then the water, you can create steam. And let's face it, steam power, steam engine changed everything in this world a while ago. So that can absolutely bring together, balance your fire and your water for your motivation, your what and your why you're moving forward. It gives it more juice. It's sort of like in spell work. You can say the words, but if there's no emotional juice behind it, if there's, and particularly no fire, no desire in it, it's just words, right? So those four together, then all combined, that's all, powers combine into the fifth element of spirit. Now, some people would interpret this as an outcome, whether or not you're going to get what you want, whether or not you're going to get your wish. And right now I want to sip and a drag. So you can read it that way. The thing is, these tend to be very immediate readings. They're sort of snapshots broken into 5 pieces. So I tend to see it as the overview, because fire, earth, air, water combined as spirit, or you could say spirit refracts into the other 4 elements. So I prefer to read it that way. Now, all I would do is then lay these same cards right on top of it. So, well, I'm going to do them face down. So that would be fire, earth, air, water, spirit. So that is the spread. And, you know, by the way, while the client is shuffling, I'm tuning in. That's when the clairvoyant empathy and any other intuitive skills or guides, or sometimes people's spirit guides will rat them the fuck out while people are shuffling. Like, I'm like, I don't know if this pertains, but you don't know how to tie your shoes, or something like that. But usually it's pertinent to what's going on, if not impertinent to what's going on. So now I will, I will read this, and I will take pictures of these when I'm done, and put them up so you get a little bit more, can see what the cards look like. So our first position, fire. Well, interestingly enough, is a fire card. It is the 3 of Flames, loyalty. So what this spread wants, this client, now remember, I only shuffled for the best to explain this. It's not necessarily about me, although you never know. I'll look at it later. So loyalty, so what you want, that's really clear desire. I want loyalty. Now, it can be loyalty to yourself. The way I do it is God first, then me, then friends and family, then work. Because if I put the divine first, then, you know, I'll be taken care of. Shit, shower, shave, get yourself together, get your coffee, check in on friends and family, and then work. Now, the work I do obviously integrates into all 4 of those. So, loyalty. Now, the card that covers it, which are these angel cards, I'll put them back in their station, is a clarifier, and here you've got focus, right? So this could be interpreted a couple of different ways. What you want is a focus on loyalty, or a loyalty of focus. I mean, you can really play with the words that way. Loyalty of focus means, no, I'm committing myself to focusing on my spiritual path, or whatever the client wants in the spread. Okay, earth, the fuel that feeds the fire. Oh, here we have withdrawal. Now that is the the Eight of Cups. I'm so used to calling them by the name on the card that sometimes I forget the number of the suit. So withdrawal, it's sort of walking away, but in this card, the woman carrying the torch is traveled by water and is going into a cave. So people hear withdrawal and sometimes they hear neglect or abandonment. It's not really that. It's too high up in the suit for that. So it's like pulling back. She's going into a cave following a path of water. You'll see it on the picture. So it is withdrawal into self or withdrawal into a subject, which you have to say goes with the focus on loyalty from the fire card. Oh, and it's crossed with ideas and inspiration, which makes sense. It's like this is saying, pull back, bitch. Pull back. Go into your cave. Pull a little hermit mode. Take a 30-minute, 1 hour, hour and a half hermit time. Pull back to regenerate, to build, to be accessible and open to ideas and inspiration. Makes total sense, those two so far. Okay. Third position. What you're thinking about this. What are the thoughts involved? And our tarot card, very, very cool. This is really good, actually. The One of Blades, the Ace of Blades, which is the Sibyl, which is not the Hold Your Water card. It is an air card. It's thought, but it's an ace. So it is like a seed thought. It's like not just a light bulb, which is an inspiration, but ooh, what a good idea. Ooh, what a good idea. Ooh, what a good idea. And it hasn't even brought itself into time and space yet. It's really just thought. So that makes sense, right, with the Ideas and Inspiration card. Oh, and crossed with the card of support. Now, this isn't just necessarily the support of friends and family, tribal, all of that stuff, as much as it is support from spirit, your guides, your masters, your teachers, your angels, your saints, your higher power, your higher self, although there are cards in this deck specifically for some of those other things. Really that idea of that you are surrounded and supported by spirit. So ideas and inspiration into a new thought with the support of spirit, that's ideas and inspiration. So the air element is really, really good for this. And I like this spread so far. How about you, Barbara? Okay. Water. How you feel about it? Now, again, this could be tricky. Your element of water could not necessarily crash the whole thing, but sometimes we have emotional attachments to things. So what do we have? We have our first major arcana card, the Phoenix. Now, the Phoenix in this deck is the Death card, but it definitely focuses more on the rising from the ashes than the going to ashes. And again, the tilt of the card can indicate where you are in that process. The way I read round cards is they always turn Jessel clockwise. So this would say, oh, right where you are right now. This is a conscious, emotional transformation, which I have to say is pretty good. Like if you're going to get the Death card, get it in something creative where it's rising from ashes and there's rebirth from the death. And crossed with spiritual growth. So yeah, this is pretty kick-ass for this spread, and I really hope that this isn't just about me and this spread, but about anybody who's watching this, that this might actually give some emotional altitude, some lift, some lightness, some growth to your spiritual path. That really kicks ass. Okay, now the last one. Here we go. Spirit. Now again, not necessarily an outcome, but an overview, and that's how I'm going to read this one, because I already saw what it is. All right, so our Spirit card is a court card. Now, we haven't had any court cards yet. Daughters of the Moon, instead of doing Knight, Queen, and King, there are no pages in this deck, which is one of the reasons why I love it. I never liked the pages. They were annoying. They're not necessarily messages, they're messengers, so tricky. But because it works with the Zodiac, the Crone of Flames, Sagittarius, so instead of Knight, Queen, King, you have made Mother Crones, which is perfect for me, my own personal symbolic spiritual language, and that of my clientele. Oh, and so think Sagittarius, that's the that the overall, it's like, ooh, I could do that, I could do that, I want to know about that, I want to know about that, I want to know about that. So it's that mutable fire, mutable desire. Ooh, 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 ooh. So very versatile in terms of wanting to know different things, and I am not versatile, I'm a top. Okay, oh, an interesting top crossed with body care. So that there's something in the outcome here. Well, this really helps with, yes, perhaps physical body, physical healing, but also the physical manifestation. So something to take care of something physically. So you're thinking finances. Really, you could go through the chakras if you want. Definitely root chakra, second chakra, third chakra. I mean, second chakra in terms of money, in terms of sex, in terms of romance, in terms of relationship, one-on-one relationships. In the root chakra, you got tribal relationships, corporation, not just your biological family, but them too. And even in the solar plexus, that thing about, well, how do I take care of not just my physical body, but my emotional body, my mental body, my spiritual body, the holistic body. So overall, if I was reading this for a client, regardless of the topic, oh, and by the way, when I read clients, and you can ask anybody I've ever read, I never ask them to tell me what they fill in the blank with. That's really, really the truth. I don't want to know what they're shuffling, because if I'm getting information about healing, and I know they want to know about money, and I start putting the healing information into the money box, that didn't sound right. Tangent. If I do that, if I take the information that I'm receiving and I know what they want and I try and fit it in there, sometimes it's just square peg in a round hole, round peg in a square hole. Doesn't make sense. My eyes cross and I get a headache. And it doesn't make sense to the client. So it's better that I just tell them that and I just run the energy through. And then usually the cards speak for themselves with the information that I get through. So sitting with the client, I would say, well, what it is that you want is definitely a focus on loyalty, whether that's loyalty to yourself, your path, or in whatever it is that you shuffled. The Earth, what you have is to withdraw, get some perspective. Now that is a water card, so it's like not just pull back, but really go deep. Go higher in, deeper in and higher up, deeper in or higher in and deeper down. You know, really go in there, because there are ideas and inspiration that perhaps you repressed or had thought about and dismissed, and let that come up. But that also does speak of an intuitive process when there's a water card there. Really, the air position, I'd say to them, look, the One of Blades, the Sibyl, it's the Oracle of Delphi. There is stuff ready to download, and it will come mentally, and because it's supported with the card of support, and that's definitely celestial, angelic, spiritual support, that it's not like they're holding back. They're just waiting for you to open up the satellite dish a little bit, so you might need to withdraw, pull back a little bit. And that there is going to be, and in part of the process, already in process, an emotional rebirth because of spiritual growth, where things are revealed that may not necessarily be the spiritual birth or rebirth, but that are catalysts too. So every time we take in a piece of truth, not just what's true, but truth, it is a catalyst. It speeds up our lives, and that's why we don't always want to know the truth. That's why we kind of put our foot first gently on the brake, and then sometimes hard on the brake. It's like, okay, it's too much, too much, too much. In other words, I can't assimilate that in a speed that makes me comfortable. But you can assimilate truth, but it will change your life. And then, of course, for the outcome, that Sagittarius with the body care, right? Really, very much like, okay, now I have a foundation that I can really go after and hunt for. I mean, Sagittarius is the archer, is the hunter. Really pursue and go after the things that I want. Now, remember, this doesn't say, like, even if someone did shuffle a wish here, this doesn't say that they're going to get their wish immediately, but it does say that there's something fortified there in that body care card that allows them, gives them, whether it's the self-esteem, the physical prowess, the physical components that they need. Like, you know, you need to drive somewhere, you need a car, right? You're going to go on a date, you need money, you need to get your shit together to do that. You want more work, you want a new job. It's sort of like saying, okay, all of these things will come to you, but continue fanning the flames of your desire, particularly when the Spirit card indicates an element. If it came up Major Arcana, it would be the element of Spirit, but here it's a court card, Crone of Flames, Sagittarius, which relates to fire and desire. So overall, I would say keep going. Just know that there's some transformation going on in the world behind your eyes, in the emotional world, so that there's more going on here, particularly because of the sort of divine influence of that support card. There's a couple of things, ideas and inspiration here, but going back to what you want, loyalty, that would say to me that ultimately this loyalty is loyalty to yourself and loyalty to what you really want. And I always end a reading with, and that's what I see for you. At that point, my guides start pulling back and my energy drops a little bit. I come back into a normal state of consciousness, because every time I read, I'm in a somewhat semi-altered state of consciousness. That's also the spiritual practice I do beforehand. It sets me up for that. So that's it. That is the element spread. Comment if you like this. I do know a crap load of other spreads that I could do this with, and since I'm doing it in my dining room with the company of Wonder Mug and American Spirit Yellow, I'll be glad to do this again. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you a very, very wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. Hail, farewell, and blessed be.